Hey, so this thought is just, as has been mentioned, about a niche. The idea that when everyone's special, no one is. There was this art store, used to be called Nordraft, across from SAIT in Calgary, or the Alberta College of Art and Design, or the Alberta University of the Arts, whatever. But they used to stamp their bags with this stamp that said, if everything is art, art is nothing. Also, in the movie Incredibles with Syndrome, he so badly wants to be a super. He's like, says to Mr. Incredible when he's young, I can fly. I invented these rocket boots. Anyways, and Mr. Incredible is like, you're not affiliated with me. Later on, Syndrome has all these powers, and at the end of one scene, he says, when everybody's super, no one is. So I have often heard it said, actually, at events, sometimes amongst Indigenous friends who, when thinking about belonging, have used the metaphor of a barrel full of crabs, and any crab that tries to get higher than the other crabs gets pulled back down. Or if you're a nail, if you're the highest nail, you're going to get smacked down. So if by virtue of your standard of care that you have built and your niche alongside with your patients, you assert that you're special, you can anticipate that there will be some scrutiny paid to what it is that you're doing, and even people asserting that what you're doing is bad, is malpractice, is X without a license, etc., etc. I just wanted to share those examples because, I was actually thinking about the Indigenous friend. He said to me once, I met him, and he said, well, I never really was, I was too Indigenous to fit in amongst white people, but I wasn't Indian enough to fit in on the reserve, so I didn't fit in anywhere. And I don't know why I think that that's relevant to this discussion, except for that I was just talking with a dentist friend and talking to him about his career and my career, and thinking about, where do you get your affirmation from? Do you get it from your patients or your families, return clients, or do you get it from your peers, whose praise of your work is always going to be laced with a degree of passive-aggressive sort of competition anyways? They may not think that the way you do things is the way that things ought to be done, especially if the way that you're doing things tacitly asserts that, as I've said before, their standard of care is actually a substandard standard of care. That's where the pulling inclination comes from. Anyways, I actually was having a conversation with another practitioner, and he has been more recently compelled to sort of respond to some of the scrutiny that's been levied in his direction because of some of the niching that he's doing. And it's interesting to see the way that some of the response that he's coming up with to make objective, the evidence around his standard of care, to respond to the assertion that it is a subjective sort of perversion of the discipline, is going to constitute a new, more robust objective response to people wondering if what he's doing has relevance or not. Anyways, I just think some of those metaphors are humorous about the way that it can be comfortable and the way that the incentives can make it so that people draw near into the principles of holistic niching, but their hearts are far from it when the dilemma remains, how do you say you're special without getting crucified for asserting that you're special and unique? Good question. Another thought on that is there are things that are on the edges of the scope of a more mainstream view of whatever your practice is, that if you choose to do, say for example in dentistry, to do mercury amalgam removal for health reasons, not for cosmetic reasons, but for health reasons, or to do cavitation surgery. My experience, for what it's worth, is that some of that type of care is the stuff that engenders a huge degree of loyalty from existing patients and prospective patients. I would also say that, you know, taking a stand on water fluoridation, again, from a dental standpoint, is a sign to people that you're willing to take arrows in the back for things that are not good. So I don't know why I'm thinking about the idea that to do what the founders did, we have to know what the founders knew. But if you're looking at like skill acquisition, it's like, are the skills that you're acquiring, do they bring you closer to the mainstream and make you more like your competition, or does it truly differentiate you? And what I'm saying is, if your response to something like cavitation surgery is like, it's too risky for a lot of reasons, then if one of those reasons is how do you market something like that, then I'm asserting that the answer to how do you market that is by you not talking about it. It's by your referring partners talking about it and then brokering a sort of exchange with them. Because what I'm telling you is they also have treatment modalities that they also can't talk about because it's out of scope for them. So you talk about it for them and they talk about it for you. That's how that works.